Hey, you're listening to Cracking the Code, the podcast for leaders building and growing service-based businesses. If you are in legal or medical or financial services, if you have letters behind your name that qualify you to do what you do for a living, you are in the right place. I am your host, Rob Riggs, here to bring you intel and access that are designed to decode how technology can be and should be impacting your growth. All right, let's get into it. All right, welcome back to the Code Conspirators podcast, Cracking the Code, where we uncover how professional service firms, law practices, medical groups, financial advisors use technology and strategy to scale without losing their soul. So today, our guest is Nikki Barua, and I'm extremely excited to have her on. So thank you so much for being here, Nikki. And why don't you take a second and introduce yourself to those who may not be familiar?
Thanks for inviting me, Rob. So I'm Nikki Barua, co-founder and CEO of FlipWork, which is one of the leading AI transformation partners working with companies to make them agentic in the AI age. But the through line of my story and my career has all been about reinvention. Like every stage, every phase has been about shedding the past, unlearning the old way, and embracing the new way. And that's really what's helped me learn and grow and accelerate my success, whether it was in my corporate career with major companies or as a serial entrepreneur or an author and a speaker. Every single time it's been the same through line, which is how do you adapt to change? How do you reinvent for the next stage with the right skill set, mindset, and tool set? And how do you scale your impact?
Beautiful. I love that. Let's just dive right in. You've developed FlipWork from the perspective of helping companies implement AI in a way that is going to make a meaningful impact. And how do you how do you stay on top of the rapid pace of every platform that has ever existed launching something new? Like it seems like every few hours, it's hard to keep on top of it. How do you keep on top, and how do you help clients, keep implementing in a way that is revenue forward?
Rob, the secret is you can't afford to sleep anymore because every time you fall asleep, Anthropic releases a new model update and it's taking over another part of their job. So,
Right,
uh,
right.
so yeah, the pace of change is both exhilarating and scary at the same time. It's wild how exponentially capable these machines are getting and what it's really changing it's changing work. And the real
Yeah.
challenge is it's changing work faster than people can change how we work. Right. So we're still used to being on autopilot, doing things the same old way, the way we get a customer, the way we serve a customer, the way we, do marketing or product development. We're so honed into operating a certain way that taking the time to take a step back and reimagine that work with AI at the center is like, building a plane while you're trying to, on the way down, right? Like it's impossible to
Mhm.
do two things at the same time, but that's literally what it demands right now. And, the approach that the thing that I hear from leaders across the board, whether they're entrepreneurs or corporate executives, is they're so overwhelmed by the pace of change that that it develops a certain kind of inertia, like not knowing where
Mhm.
do I even begin. There's so much happening. Where do I even begin? And so there's a tendency to do one of two things: do nothing, like I'm going to just wait until things settle down a bit, and then I'm going to take action. And I can tell you
Mhm.
that's a terrible, terrible response because the
Sure.
longer you wait, the greater the gap gets. On the other hand, there's a desire to just like get the first tool or buy the first license you can get just so you feel like you're making progress. But that's also not the right response because it's not connected to your business priorities and it's not going to deliver ROI. So really, the thing that we've been able to do for clients is helping them zero in on exactly where the right opportunities are. Start taking action in rapid sprints and then
Mhm.
building and learning and iterating because it's not just about the results you get with AI, it's who you become in the process. Because it's almost also as much about your own reinvention as it is as much as it is about your business systems and your strategy that's changing.
Sure, 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 sure. So when you're approaching a new client, how do you determine what the best path forward is? Where do you get them to start, and yeah, how do you cast a vision for the return that they're going to get?
Yeah, so we have a proprietary diagnostic called the Flip Factor, and it's the first of its kind. It's incredibly powerful in being able to, identify where every single person on your team is in terms of AI readiness. What's holding them back? Is it mindset? Is it skill set? Is it, the workflows? Is it the process? Is it the systems? Is it their boss? Right? Like we figure out exactly where every person on your team is, but we also identify where your from a system standpoint, where things are in terms of overall business systems and where you need to be as a result of that. And by identifying exactly, where to focus through that diagnostic, what's so powerful is that it gives the level of clarity that leaders are just missing. Like, in the absence of that, you're just kind of doing taking some action, but you have no idea what's going to come out of this. This allows you to focus on exactly which function to start with, which high impact or high ROI workflows to start with, and also know when your payback period is. Like, we're delivering 10x returns within 90 days. It's insane what's possible just by making the right decision up front.
That's huge. We have a lot of people coming to us and leaders in their industry saying, "I need AI in my organization."
Yeah.
And but they when we ask, "Well, what are you trying to accomplish?" I'm just like, "I don't know, but I know I need AI," right?
Well, there's a lot
Um,
of pressure, right? Because the
right.
mandate is so clear. If you have investors, if you have a board, all the senior executives are kind of pushing it to say, you got to implement this. Like, what's your AI strategy? Get on board with it, right?
Yeah.
And that's pressure is real. But the response to that pressure ends up being some scattered effort, some reaction to it that isn't fully thought through and often misaligned with core business priorities. And like most things, technology is not the answer, it's the enabler, but you have to connect it back to what are you really trying to do? Are you trying to grow
Mhm.
your business, get more customers, increase gross margin, end up with greater efficiency and speed? What are you really trying to accomplish? Because depending on that, your focus areas are going to be different.
Sure, sure. So, has AI become like a buzzword, or is that only like when it's not really when it's implemented without like a end goal like that?
I do see a lot of wasted effort and budgets when it's just
Sure.
done for the sake of, I mean, you see the stats of how many pilots have failed because there wasn't enough, clarity on the KPIs up front. But on the other hand, when done right, it is a total game changer and it doesn't even feel like a systems upgrade. It's truly a business reinvention because what it's really doing is changing your competitive moat. If you think about what is the biggest threat that AI has to businesses,
Hmm.
the not the opportunity. The opportunity is, yeah, it'll make everything faster, better, cheaper, right? And you can scale your business without adding headcount, and you don't have to deal with 10xing your payroll to 10x your margins. But on the flip side, it has also eroded traditional moats. The thing that gave you an advantage to hold on to your business or grew your business all along, now public data is like tap water. Everybody's got
Yeah.
it.
Right.
So what is your advantage? If you thought there was a certain unique formula that was the reason that your customers did business with you, most of that. I mean, think about lawyers, right? You
Mhm.
think about a law firm or you think about a professional services, a consulting firm and all of that. So many of those things, if you break down the processes, like the work that actually happens behind the scenes in those organizations, you break it down step by step. AI has like basically replaced 60 to 70% of that. So now as a customer of that business, you're going to look at that and say, well, I can get ChatGPT to give me half those answers for free.
Right.
Why am I still gonna hire you? Or if I do hire you, am I really gonna want to pay those high fees, those hourly rates anymore? So
Mhm.
if it's not a risk to your business, it's certainly a risk to your pricing.
Wow. Yeah. So there's so much there to unpack, but you've seen a lot of companies like implement AI, and it's a complete disaster. And they will either step back and say, AI doesn't really help, or like what do you see the difference between those who make it work? How do people make it work versus implement and fail at it?
I think the core difference that I see is the mindset with which you approach it. If you just treat it like a tool or a bot, that's exactly what you're going to get, right?
Hmm.
It's a cute little add-on, and maybe helps you a little bit, but you're not going to have the ability to fully reimagine the possibilities if that's how you look at it. The ones that I've seen do game-changing things really think of it as human machine collaboration. That's the best way I can describe it. And FlipWork, we call it people squared, people becoming people squared. And it's humans and machines co-evolving together. And you really look at everything you're doing for yourself, by yourself, or in on your team or in your business, and you look at what parts are uniquely human that you want to retain. For example, customer relationships. You don't want a
Sure.
machine doing that, right?
Hmm.
Solving dealing with an angry customer or dealing with a complex new idea. You want the humans to be doing that. But there's so many other parts of what you do on a daily basis that AI will always do better, faster, and cheaper. So how can you kind of reimagine every part of your business, looking at humans and machines together, and then amplify what makes you uniquely human with the scale of the machine? And when you look at it that way, you become exponentially capable, and so does your business. And through
Hmm.
that, you can see entirely new opportunities to conquer new markets, to capture new customers, to scale your profitability in ways you could never do before. All kinds of new ideas emerge from that when you simply look at it as your co-evolution partner. And that's the biggest difference I've seen. And it all starts with the idea of truly embracing reinvention. It's as much about letting go of what you held on to personally as it is about allowing AI to become your coworker.
Hey, this is Rob Riggs, and I wanted to take just a second to tell you about Code Conspirators, our sponsor here. And we are a technology focused performance marketing agency serving professional service firms. So that's legal, medical, financial, engineering. If you take a test to do what you do for a living, we help you grow your practice with websites and apps and software and performance marketing. That's organic, paid ads, retargeting, conversion optimization. And we're also doing a whole host of things with CRM, AI, and automation that's been bringing our clients tremendous value. If you're curious at all, go to codeconspirators.com to learn more. Now back to the show. Nice. So you've worked with a wide variety of companies, and at companies at scale, and smaller organizations. Where do you see the challenges in one versus the other? So a small company with like a team of three versus a massive enterprise. Adoption of any new tool is going to be a challenge, but how does that differ?
For large enterprises, they have certainly the resources and absolutely the mandate to adopt AI. So
Hmm.
what I'm seeing is very much this gold rush mentality. Like they
Yeah.
see this as a way to conquer more. So it's a very positive attitude, actually. With large enterprises, there's no hesitation, there's no fear, there's no like wait and watch. They're ready to go. They're throwing millions and millions of dollars at it. They're hiring entire new teams. They're obviously restructuring and laying off people as well and
Yeah.
shifting those budgets into AI. There's a very bullish attitude in large enterprises. And
Okay.
it's because they see just what is possible, how much they can grow, and all the things that they can achieve with that. In contrast with smaller companies, I'm actually more bullish about smaller and mid-sized enterprises being able to leapfrog ahead, like break out of linear growth and go into exponential mode if they truly leverage AI the right way. I see that as a possibility, but I'm not seeing that as the reality and the behavior of small businesses. I see a lot more superficial adoption, or kind of like a little bit of a head in the sand mentality of, I operate in the zip code. My customers have been loyal for 10 years. I'm not
Mhm.
really, I don't know that this is going to change my book of business or change my strategy that much. And while that may remain true for a little bit longer, it's just a matter of time before someone else in your industry with an ambitious viewpoint and the right adoption of AI 10x's what they're able to do and completely outpaces you. So what we're seeing is laggard behavior in smaller businesses, but I also see it as from that will emerge the winners in that space, and it'll be a winner take all market. So um, my hope is that more small businesses recognize that this is actually a golden opportunity. Imagine for a small business owner that you were stuck with a small team of like 3 to 5 people, and even though you had big dreams and want to do all these things, but you're bootstrapped and you're kind of depending on the monthly cash flow to figure out, like, it's constantly a robbing Peter to pay Paul kind of situation. There's never enough cash for real investments and to like do all the things will grow your business. AI is that opportunity. Building like
Right,
10 agents is like having 10 additional headcount for $20 a month, right? Like it's an
right.
incredible opportunity. And yet there's like not enough leaping into it. So that's what I hope changes with small businesses.
Sure. Do you think that's rooted in fear or the lack of time to implement well, realizing somebody doesn't have the expertise in implementing well? Where is that rooted?
I think it's from my own experience as having been a bootstrap small business owner and
Yeah,
being at startup stage, it's symptomatic of what every small business owner deals with, which is we're always in survival mode. I mean,
sure.
you're one, bad news away from, shutting down, right? Like
Yeah,
one major customer walks away, one key employee decides to quit and join a competitor. Any of those things, you're constantly in fight or flight mode. And when you add in another complex layer, like, oh, now I gotta throw out the old playbook and I gotta completely reimagine my business from the ground up. And by the way, I gotta do that while still having 18-hour days and taking care of my
right.
family. It's not an easy thing to do. And so what I've seen work in that is one, the diagnostic has been super helpful to small business owners because that way, instead of guessing or trial and error and wasting precious resources, right? Like being able to
Mhm.
zero in to say, okay, if I did just this one thing, this will give me 10x return. And with that money, I can now invest in the next thing that gets me a 10x return, right? Taking it step by
Yeah,
step. But also often they need like, a lot of small business owners are just not as tech savvy. They may use tools, but they're not as advanced in certain areas, and they don't have access to world-class resources that can give them that kind of advice. So having access to a structured step-by-step approach takes away that fear, gives a way for them to go from where they are to where they want to be. And so we just recently introduced, a 30-day AI reinvention sprint specifically for, small business owners and entrepreneurs because we were only catering to Fortune 500. We were not dealing with anyone outside of that, but we had so much demand and just looking for help. And, and we
Mhm.
realized there's a way to like give a structured approach that helps them, but it's also something that is affordable and fits within the time and resource constraints that small businesses have.
Sure. Could you talk through the either the process for that 30-day sprint or the like the diagnostic? What is there a cost there, or is there a way for somebody to get their feet wet and seeing kind of what that impact looks like on their business?
Yeah, and I'll actually share the link to the free diagnostic that an individual can do. There's a different
Oh,
version
sure.
at the company level, but it's an incredible data-driven insight that anyone can use. But that diagnostic guides everything that 30-day process because again, instead of it being generic, I mean, there's no dearth of AI training and like all kinds of things right now. The
Right.
market is just flooded with content. But if you're a business owner, you're not looking for a damn certification. Who cares?
Right.
You have a business to
Yeah.
run, right?
Right. Yeah.
You're not a corporate employee looking to collect badges.
Sure.
You have enough on your plate. You just want to know like what do I actually need to do? What do I actually need to know? And how can I use this so that I can see immediate results? Because I don't have the luxury of waiting 24 months for all of this. And also,
Right.
how do I protect my downside? Constantly battling with risk. What do I need to do to protect my downside? And so the diagnostic helps them understand all of that. Where are you most exposed? Where are your upside opportunities? And then what are the most important things for you as an owner to do? And then from there, the 30-day sprint just takes them step by step to like, building the basic AI fluency that they need, but more importantly, figuring out the workflows that if they, used AI to enable those workflows, imagine like taking 80% of the cost out of customer acquisition. Imagine, speeding up
Hmm.
product development. Imagine being able to, do marketing campaigns at a fraction of the cost. Like all of those things are real transformations. And they're doing that in 30 days, along with a small team and seeing the results that's actually implemented, totally fully functioning agentic workflows, AI fluency that makes them feel more confident, and a community that helps them, get the support and level up together.
Fantastic. Again, I know we're running out of time here, but what have I not asked that you feel the listeners would just be missing out on if we didn't cover?
Well, given the profile of your audience, the most important thing I would say is every day that you wait and you think you have time to figure it out is a day that is the day where the gap keeps getting bigger. As someone
Right.
who's been in this space for almost 30 years, this is not a new space for me. What is blowing my mind is how exponential everything is now.
Right.
The model capabilities are exponential, the adoption is exponential, the results are exponential. So if you're operating with a linear mindset and you're waiting for certainty, you're actually putting yourself at risk. So the most important thing you can do for yourself and for your business is to stop being a bystander and step into the arena.
For sure. Love that. Thank you so much for being on the show today. And I know we'll have links in the show notes, but is there somewhere where somebody can reach out to you with specific questions that you want them to contact you on?
Yeah, I'd love for people to, explore nikkibarua.com, my personal website, or flipwork.ai, my company website. And I also publish a weekly newsletter that provides actionable strategies to reinvent in the AI age. And it's really designed for leaders who are non-technical and trying to make sense of all this chaos and figure out like, what's the baby step I need to do this week that'll make me feel more confident and help me move my business forward.
Love it. Thanks again for being here. Wow, that was a masterclass in thinking differently about AI. And if you caught yourself nodding along, especially at that part about buying all the tools and no one using them, then you're not alone. That's a story of 90% of professional service firms that we talk to. So it's really important to understand what the opportunity is and the urgency to adopt AI in your practice, in your firm, in your company, in your business, in a way that is not going to leave you behind. Check out the notes and for more information on Nikki's approach. and definitely reach out if you have questions about how you can implement AI better in your business. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.